Hello and welcome to, what is it, episode 3, I think, of the actual play sessions of Adventures in Lankhmar. So, Will, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Will. I'm playing Ivlis the Thief from the Cold Wastes, hated by
Will,
everyone.
Did you realise there's actually a character in the books called Ivlis, or did you just...
Yes, this is where I got the name from.
Ah, there you go.
Excellent. Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm playing Teebeedee, the wizard from the 8 cities.
Andrew.
I'm playing, as I was last week, Barford, the Mingol warrior.
Okay, when we left last time, I believe you were all holed up in a sleazy room at a tavern stroke
Silver
inn.
Eel.
Yes, it's only the next morning, though, when one of you staggers out, that you look at the sign and you realise that it's actually called the Slippery Eel. It's not the Silver Eel at all. You just assumed it was the Silver Eel because you'd heard about the Silver Eel, but in fact it's a particularly sleazy, disgusting joint in the slums called the Slippery Eel. And it's on Thin Lane, not Dim Lane.
It's an alternate reality. I can't cope.
Because this part of town is particularly disgusting. It's grotty, decaying, and run down, and the Slippery Eel is a particularly insalubrious joint. But still, it seems charging you 5 silver pieces or 5 silver smurdooks for the night. Who's taking care of the money, and have you crossed off that amount of money?
That just seems like an outrageously high price to be paying, if you ask me, but I guess we'll just have to work with it for the moment.
Well, this is Lankhmar. Everybody's out for a little bit extra.
So, okay, I'll cross off. So we got.
We'll keep it in treasury for the time being.
Yes, leave it with the thief. Perfect.
I know how to count. Okay, we need to find out something about. Well, firstly, we need to find out how we can we get a doctor or cleric, or there are no clerics, are there? How can we heal Teebeedee, who is basically dead?
Yes, well he's only got one hit point, hasn't he?
1 hit point.
The most important thing is we have to leave now.
What, to find somewhere cheaper?
No, to find somewhere where people are going to go, okay, we're looking for 3 guys, one of them's a Mingol, and one of them's wounded, and they're going to be looking for the nearest dive.
That is true, though you actually did take a horse, a little carriage thing, and you jumped off the carriage, so you could be at any number of sleazy dives within a radius.
But what we have to do is, as soon as Chris is remotely mobile, we have to sneak out the back, find somewhere else, book in as 4 people, and just Chris go in. Sorry, not just Will go in, book it for him and his 3 friends, and then we can have to get in there. See, we just need to mix and match it, guys. Otherwise, they're going to understand.
Probably a good idea.
Andrew's done this before.
All right.
Let me tell you what the story is with healing. So if you get a good night's rest, you heal 1 hit point. If you get a day of bed rest, you heal 2 hit points per night. But you can also, if you recuperate for 1d3 turns, you can spend 1 point of luck and regain hit points equal to a roll of your class hit die plus the stamina bonus plus your level.
So now we need to go and find somewhere else to stay, and then you can have 2 nights rest. Doesn't any of us have a bolt hole that we can go to where we don't have to pay 2
Well,
silver,
not
5
really.
silver pieces a night?
You're all pretty young and inexperienced. You've really just been living night to night. You don't have a... Oh, apart from Andrew, he's got a place. He's got just a grotty attic room where he lives with his great-great-grandmother.
As you do when you're a Mingol warrior. Yeah. Okay. So where are we going to go next? We need another pub.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you need an inn rather than a tavern. You have a rough idea of the layout of Lankhmar. You know there are various quarters and areas of the city, and you know that they have different levels of quality and crime and all the rest of it. So what kind of level are you looking for?
Well, if the cheapest dive in the most scummy part of town charges 5 silver pieces a night, it's
well. This is a city. They'll charge whatever they can get away with.
There's no
going rates. There's no particular price that you pay. If they say an amount and you pay it, then that's what they charge. The next guy who walks in might get charged a copper piece. You don't know.
Yeah, you got to haggle.
Okay. Well, basically,
yes. He said 5 silver smurdooks, and you were standing there with a guy who was bleeding out
Bleeding
all
to
over
death.
the floor, and you said yes, transaction done.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I get it. So let's go to a couple of other places and just negotiate some prices.
Let me give you a rough outline of the different quarters of Lankhmar, okay, that you know of. This is all. I mean, this is what you know. So you've got the River Quarter, right, which is the home to the docks, grain silos. It's honest trade and skullduggery alike. You've got the Citadel and the Rainbow Palace, which is where the Overlord of Lankhmar lives. No one ever goes there except on official business or anything like that. You'll probably never go there in your whole life. There's the Noble Quarter, where there's the villas and manors of Lankhmar's upper crust. The Street of the Gods is the Temple Quarter, where all the religious practices, all the temples are. And
It's quite
all the
a handy
religious
map here.
stuff
I'll
goes
just.
on. Then you've got the Forbidden Temples, which there's a neighbourhood where there's blasphemous and forgotten fanes squat, rotting, crumbling, and ignored by the city at large. Then you've got the Crafts Quarter, which is a broad section home to merchants, tradesmen, and guilds. There's the slums, which is where you are now. Several neighbourhoods in Lankhmar. These are not in one area, they're all over the place. Occupied by the impoverished, the desperate, and the mad, decaying tenements, etc. There's the Rich Man's Quarter, inhabited by affluent residents who don't have nobility. There's the Carousing Quarter, the city's tenderloin, where all the debased appetites are slaked. 100 taverns, gaming houses, bordellos, and other dins of ill repute.
That's where we want to go. Well, why would you stay anywhere else?
The Crowson Quarter is nestled between the legitimate business neighbourhoods of the Crafts Quarter and overlapping the slums adjacent to the Plaza Quarter. It's known as the Crowson Quarter or simply the Carouse. Its unofficial borders are Pimp Street to the east, Carter Street to the west, the Street of Gods to the north, and Cash Street to the south. It's home to numerous dive bars, bordellos, fleeg bag inns, gambling houses, fighting pits, and other rough and tumble entertainment values. Vice and crime is rampant. Watch constables patrol it with regularity, but turn a blind eye to most things if they get their bribes. So you wander a few places, and you come across a place called...
I'm walking down Horse Street, and I see a place called the Pimp's Rest. That sounds suitable. How about we go in there?
That sounds great. The Pimp's Rest. That's excellent.
Pimp's Rest.
So you go to the Pimp's Rest, and there's a fellow behind the counter. He says, what can I do you for, sir?
I'm looking for a room for 4 people for maybe a week. And I'm looking for somebody who can give it to me for a discreet and reasonable price.
Well, certainly. We usually don't get quite such long stays.
Yes, I'm sure you don't, which is why I thought you might be able to give me a reasonable price, given that I'm booking it for more than an hour.
Right. Make a personality check. So roll equal to or under your personality.
20.
20.
That's just what you need.
Will, move somewhere else.
As a matter of fact, sir, we do have a room. It's excellent, and it'll only be 5 silver smurdocks a day. A night.
Okay, forget it. All right, I'll go next door to the Pimp's Choice. I'll try again.
And by the way, sir, I really don't recommend you go next door to the Pimp's Choice. I find it extremely noisy.
Why is that then?
Because it's known for its special service, if you know what I mean. It's particularly noisy. If you don't mind being woken up in the middle of the night by screams and the rattling of chains and muffled cries.
Well, maybe not that
whips.
one then. I'll go to the next. I'll go next door and try.
Exactly, it's bullshit. He's next door to a place called the Pimp's Choice, and he's called the Pimp's Rest. Of course, he's going to bag it out.
Right, I'll go to the Pimp's Choice. Got to do everything in this game. You've got to make up the names.
And the next one is called.
Well, can I just say my heart bleeds, mate? Must be terrible just showing up and playing.
Okay, I'll go in next door.
Yes, you see. How you doing? You see a rather attractive older woman behind the counter of the Pimp's Choice, and she says, "Hello, sir. Can I help you?"
Yes, please. I'm interested in booking a long-term booking, longer than you're usually, I imagine, used to letting, for a room for 4 people for a week.
Oh, let me see what I can do. She looks into a ledger, and can you make a personality roll, please?
This is going to be a long day.
Yes.
Oh, hey!
My winning personality charms her.
She says, "Well, sir, we have a nice room for 4 people, and that will be 2 silver Smurdochs a night, so that will be 18 Smurdochs for the week, paid in advance."
Done for 16.
Oh, yeah. Well, you charmer. Okay, 16.
Okay, 16 silver Smurdochs. Done. Thank you.
And by the way, I highly recommend not going next door to the Pimp's Choice. Very
Noisy, is it?
establishment. Yes, noisy, insalubrious, and without taste. Crass.
Done. So I'll now.
We do
trot back uptown.
have a drinking area downstairs, and if you would like meals, we can inform the kitchen. They are extra, of course, but please let us know ahead of time. We can make some meals for you as well.
Actually,
Excellent.
can I
Thank
ask
you.
a question?
What might your name be, my lady?
My name is Afeska.
So things are looking up.
Well, they couldn't
I
look
suggest
down.
we go down. Well, let's go down to
translate?
the bar and have a decent meal and a couple of beers, for God's sake. We're probably starving. I know I am. Okay, so we've got to get that thing translated, and we've got to find out some more about the key. So we need to go to, really what we actually need is a Chris who's up and running around, because he's the guy to do it. We need to go to a library or somewhere where we can get that thing translated, and B, find some information, history of the Key of the Unwitnessed Sisterhood. Why is it called that? Are they a religious organisation?
Well, presumably this is the kind of information you'll be going to the Plaza to find out.
The Plaza, is that where we go?
Plaza of Dark Delights is the place to go to find this kind of information.
Right, okay, let's
Two
let's
other
head
things.
there.
We
We'll leave Chris recovering.
We should find out whether there's a temple to them. And also, we should find out, just keep our ear to the ground and find out whether there's a price on our head, what the merchant's doing to get his key back. Just saying.
Right. Can you spend another silver Smurdoch each for your meals, please?
Burning through the cash. Okay, so we go to Andrew and
on.
I go to the Plaza of Dark Delights.
Okay, well, the Plaza of Dark Delights is only on at night. It's not a daytime
Okay.
market.
Is there can I actually read? Am I literate?
It's a very good question. What's your intelligence?
Good.
Probably not.
Just because I'm stupid doesn't mean my mother didn't teach me to read.
Andrew, what's yours?
Between being beaten
Yours
up
is
by
9.
I'm 9, but that just means a 0 modifier, so it's just normal.
Yeah.
It's 50%.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Well, you're not a good
I'm one of the
reader.
mob.
You're challenged. You've got a -1. It's never been your strong point. So you can nut your way through something slowly.
Right, it's like reading something in
With
Latin.
your lips moving.
Yeah, you're more
Your lips are
interested in
moving.
more interested in stealing books than reading them. When you first looked at this parchment, you did a intelligence test. Do you remember what you learned about it? I remember telling you the foreign text was in Ottershift.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was different. The words, we would discern enough that it was not saying the same thing.
Yeah,
That's
we didn't
all
do
I
much
said.
more.
Did I say anything about Ottershift?
Actually, you said that we could read it perfectly, and we were actually all fluent.
Well, that's the high Lankhmar part. Oh, yeah, don't.
Oh, beneath neither cup nor chain nor moon do I stand, but under the gaze of visage, face, secret, and awaiting the touch of hand. So our resting place is to be found, safe from thief, heretic, or sniffing cat. Well, look, if that's not an invitation, I don't know what is. So, beneath neither cup nor chain nor moon do I stand. So, how are we going to identify where that is?
I reckon, how about like a temple street? It sounds like on a street, and you're walking along, and there'd be like a cup or a chain. They sound like signs of something.
Yeah. To pass the time while we're waiting for the Plaza of Dark Delights to open, we'll walk Temple Street and the Street of the Gods and see if we can identify any of the landmarks mentioned in the High Lankhmarese part.
Okay, so the two of you head out into the streets, and you go out into what always seem to be the amazingly busy, crowded streets of Lankhmar. The smells and the sounds are overpowering. Just the living city, people going on their way, running errands, noblemen walking past with their little guard retinues, prostitutes strolling along, their hips swaying. You can spot the occasional pickpocket child weaving his way in and out amongst the crowds. There's stalls of food and selling all kinds of strange things. And eventually you work yourself down to the Temple Quarter, which stretches from Marsh Gate to the River Hlau. So it really, that actually crosses right across the city, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's right across town.
Yeah, it does.
It's a huge block.
These are the gods in Lankhmar as opposed to the gods of Lankhmar.
Then there's also
Yes,
Temple Street,
they're
which is
different.
at the other side of the block. So you've got Street of the Gods and
Well,
Temple
Street
Street.
of the Gods. Street of the Gods. Usually, you have new religions are popping up and disappearing all the time in Lankhmar.
Yeah, we won't worry
Usually-
about those. We should be further on down where the building's going to be more settled.
you probably-
established.
In that case, you want to not bother going down to Marsh Gate, where usually the new religions pop up and where it's a lot grottier, but up towards the central plaza, where there's all the larger temples.
Okay.
The street's just lined with temples, fanes, tabernacles, both sides of the broad thoroughfare, growing in grandeur and ostentatiousness the further you proceed towards the riverfront. And interspersed among the temples are shops selling incense, prayer beads, livestock for sacrifices, and of course, wine shops. It's quite active, but you know that it's far more active during the night when it just sort of transforms into a near carnival atmosphere, and all the worshippers come out. Religion is a bit of a night activity in Lankhmar, but it's still very busy, and there are many people around. It's overwhelming. There are so many temples and so many symbols surrounding you. Heavy smell of incense on the air, the heavy chanting of worshippers, bells ringing, just a cacophony of sight and sound.
We're looking for a
So what are
cup,
you
a
looking for?
chain, and a moon. Cup, chain, and moon in sort of closest proximity.
Right.
So that's where it's beneath neither of those. None of those do I stand. So this isn't a case of this is a case of elimination.
Both of you can make a intelligence.
I live in fear of these tests.
Will
go-
you fail?
I rolled a 12.
Did you go? Okay. I failed. We need
So both of you
Chris.
see many instances. I mean, there are bas reliefs, there are sculptures, there are paintings, there are frescoes everywhere, and there are certainly many times when you see symbols like cups and chains and moon. You see these symbols everywhere, along with a gazillion other symbols, and you cannot find any that seem to have any particular relevance.
But that's partly because we're stupid. We'll meet Chris. If this is right, this might be completely wrong. It just seemed like a sensible start.
Having spent the afternoon having a fun time doing that, we then go to the Plaza of Dark Delights and try and find somebody who can translate this thing.
Yeah, you chew on.
We have some of those pies.
Meat on sticks.
Those pies?
Yeah, have some pies. Yep. That mysterious meat on sticks with the rolled in the herbs.
Hang on, this is a rat's tail. I recognise this. This is a rat's tail. You can't just hide a rat's tail.
Yeah, but this is a very, very good guy. So this is the most excellent rat's tail available in the city. People come from
It's
all
the only.
around the city.
Have the rat's tail.
See, it's been rolled in cinnamon and cardamom,
Lovingly rolled
lovingly rolled,
and garnished in lark's vomit.
Yeah, and it's not easy to get the skewer down the length of the rat's tail. I can say it's a very skillful act. We've been doing it. We've been here for the last 40 years selling the best rat's tail in town. And that's why, sir, it is only 5 copper pieces.
Better not start a pandemic with that stuff.
So,
It's cooked.
Peter,
That's all right.
Just cross off another 10 copper pieces for various rat's tails and drinks, as you're wondering about.
As part of the process, we were sort of trying to get a feel for whether there was any, gossip about the happenings last night and all that sort of shit, just to get a feel for how close the noose was tightening about our thieving necks.
No, no one seems to be mentioning it. They're talking about all kinds of other things, but no one mentions anything about a robbery or a key or anything like that, as far as you can tell. Not in the Street of the Gods, anyway.
Interesting. Anything interesting that people are talking about that we go, that sounds like a plot twist?
Eventually, after listening to quite a few conversations, you do see you do overhear two noble women talking about the excellent party at Egrig's place last night, and how enjoyable it was, but what a fat, greasy scumbag he was who will never get into polite society.
Right.
Fair enough.
Excellent. That's what we want to hear.
There was one of them does express disappointment at the lack of cake.
Lack of cake.
The lack of blancmange.
The lack of any sweetmeats, in fact.
I know, everyone was talking about this amazing cake, and it was obviously just a beat up because it never showed up. You head south to the Plaza of Dark Delights, which you can see is in the southern eastern part of the city. An infamous place of business, opened only during the evening hours, bounded by the Fountain of Dark Abundance on one end and the Shrine of the Black Virgin at the other. A nocturnal marketplace of services and objects best suited for surreptitious commerce. The Plaza of Dark Delights is a long piazza of shadows and indistinct forms. Vague individuals move about the dim lights of caged glowworms, bottled foxfire, and glowing firepots filled with crimson embers. The soft susurrus of whispered deals, hushed negotiations, and murmured assignations drifts through the night like snatches of conversation from half-remembered dreams.
And of course, we weren't thinking of this. We were thinking, oh, it's dark.
Yes, you're not quite that poetic. But it's certainly not like your average market, which is packed with noise and colour and all the rest of it. It's very quiet and dark. And
Go around and look for some scribes.
Okay, so you wander through the market. Many fascinating things to see, but at one end, near the ebony Baroque architecture of the Shrine of the Black Virgin, stands a simple wooden frame covered by an airy cloth of dark crimson. And within the modest pavilion is a lean, rangy-looking man dressed in slate-grey tunic and breeches. His skin looks like buffed leather, and his black hair is trimmed in a scholarly tonsure. He sits atop a tall stool beside a high-angled table, intent on papers and parchments spread about it. I think, well, if this man doesn't look like a scribe, I don't know what does.
Evening,
It's
sir.
too obvious. Let's go somewhere else.
We were wondering if you could translate something for us.
Oh, good evening. Please enter my shop, as it were. My name is Sembrick. I'm a professional scribe, translator, and code breaker, and perhaps I can be of service.
What would it cost to translate this?
Hang on, wait.
It's in...
This is the copy. We copied it out. We don't take the vellum.
So he takes it and he looks at it for a bit and then takes out an eyepiece and puts it to one eye and says,
Yeah, this is most interesting indeed. I presume this isn't the original. This is a copy from... Can you tell me something about the original document to place it in context, as it were?
Yes, it's an heirloom.
No. Absolutely fucking not. No, it was given to us, and so when we were tasked with finding a translation, but if it's too hard without context, then we can go somewhere else or talk to someone
of course,
else.
sir. I completely understand. But discretion is the watchword and the byword for my business. Fear not, I will ask no more probing questions. But of course, there is a certain amount of difficulty involved in this translation.
Context?
I can, however, do it for 2 gold rilks.
We need to find out. Let's play it.
Can I sell you the Harbour Bridge, Will? I've got 3 of them going for you.
I just want to get on with it.
He's just standing there while the two of you are having this discussion, looking bemused.
Yeah, okay, I'll hand over 2 gold rilks.
And I look disgusted.
Well, if you wouldn't mind just giving me, shall we say, 15 minutes while I go through some of my reference material here and return, and I will have a translation ready for you.
No, I will wait here because we have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, we'll wait here.
Oh, very well. Well, perhaps you'd like to look at some of the nearby stalls.
Anyway, he goes back to his table and starts scrawling on a piece of paper and looking at a few books that are piled up next to him and things like that.
Well, let me tell you first, as you know, and as you've told me, the writing is Ottershif, a rare Eastern language. It came to Lankhmar with the mysteries of Jill, a desert sect that enjoyed brief popularity in the city some 200 years ago. The Mysteries of Jill, I believe, was a religion of women priestesses known as the Unseen Sisters. They obtained this sobriquet. Sobriquet, thank you. I am a scribe. I'm not very learned in the ways of words. Sobriquet.
Okay, let's go somewhere else.
Obtained this sobriquet due to the religious masks that obscured their identities. The Unseen Sisters were rumoured to be able to cleanse anyone of worldly sin with a ritualised kiss. It is said that these masks were supposedly made of gold and adorned with fabulous gems, and there were 7 of them.
Did they have a temple in the town? In Lankhmar?
Well, they did, but the sect was driven from the city 100 years ago by a coalition of secular and religious figures jealous of the mystery's influence and wealth. The sect was evicted with sudden violence, evicted from their great temple in the middle of the night. The priestesses were said to have been forced to leave their reliquaries and treasures behind, most of which were plundered by their enemies. However, the 7 gilded masks were not discovered, and despite many attempts to locate them, they remain lost.
And sorry, had you heard of them before, or is this information pretty much new to you?
Oh yes, I've heard of the Temple of Jill. In fact, the former Temple of Jill is now a massive tenement, I believe. It's occupied by some of the city's poorest residents, homeless vagabonds and outlaw squatters. It stands in a poor neighbourhood near the River Hlau, south of the Street of the Gods. This was quite a fascinating piece of document. If you do come across any other interesting documents or pieces of obscure lore or anything to do with language or script, please do bring it along to me to have a look at. I will gladly pay their market value for them.
Done.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
That's useful to know.
Well, we'll bear that in mind.
Yes.
We promise that we will take our custom nowhere else but to you.
Excellent. It's always good to have some happy customers and to meet new companions on the road to life. And I don't know what I'm saying now. I'm just rambling on. I'm a silly old man, and my accent seems to have slipped into some kind of clergyman, English clergyman's.
Can I ask you one question about the Unseen Sisters? Was part of that? Is this the same? Did they have another name? The Unwitnessed Sisterhood? Was that what they were known as?
Unseen Sisters, Unwitnessed Sisterhood. Quite close, really, aren't they?
Yes,
it's just a definitional. It's a definitional thing.
Is there anything in there about a key?
No, there's no reference to a key.
Okay. Very well then. Thank you for your service, and
because we had understood they sang, and we just wanted to know which of the keys that they sang in.
I mean, of course, you can read.
And I kick Will.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you.
Sorry. What key were you referring to?
We're off. Okay, we walk out.
I just said it was singing. Sing along.
The key? What key? Key.
Key of D minor. D minor.
What key?
The saddest key of them all. Okay, so let's go back and we'll wait a day kicking around until Chris gets better, and then let's go and while he's doing that, let's go and find this building, Andrew. So we're going to the river near the River Hlau, south of the Street of the Gods. So there's a block there between Nun Street and the Street of the Gods and the docks, the North Docks. We'll start there. We'll start quartering that.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's a slummy part of town, and
right.
Pretty grotty. There are grotty tenements, what used to be high-quality dwellings near the docks when many years ago, in the early days of Lankhmar, have now turned into rotting tenements packed full of people. Some of them going 5-6 stories up into the air and just teetering on either side of the laneway, so they almost touch on either side of the lanes.
Okay, so we're looking for one of them that's got any kind of face statue or anything potentially out the front.
It doesn't take too long. After about half an hour of looking through, wandering the streets, you come across what can only be the former Temple of Jill. Stands. The surrounding buildings are in varying states of disrepair, and the businesses here are obviously struggling. This temple dominates the neighbourhood. It's massive. The stone walls of the temple rise 50 feet into the air, supported by stone buttresses. At the rear of the temple is a thick spire, continuing another 30 feet into the sky. And that's crowned by an oval construction like a flattened coin, which is on the face of the spire. Smoke from cook fires and drying ragged clothing spill from the temple's glassless windows, and the noise of a crowd tumbles from the open front doors. There are also just people lying around on the steps, and obviously a lot of pissed people and a lot of activity going on.
So this flattened coin symbol that's on the top of the spire, it's just a blank oval, is it?
It is, though. It looks like there's probably the remnants of some kind of carving on it, but it's been worn down by pollution and time.
So, Andrew, do you want
the facade of the temple is like a stone porch with columns on the outside, and there are two large entrance doors going within, which are open, and there's just people hanging about all over the place.
Okay, well then we'll come back the next morning. We'll just go back. We'll come back the next morning when he's fully healed, and we'll go in. Okay, so all three of us on full strength. Yep, so we'll just walk in like we own the joint.
You go up to the open doors of the tenement, and even though it's relatively normal weather outside, it's not sunny or anything, but it's a nice enough day. Inside, it's quite dark, and there are long shafts of sunlight coming through upper windows of the temple, just shafts of light filled with dust motes, thick dust motes, and smoke from cooking fires. And the smell of unwashed bodies, cooking food, bodily waste, and old sickness assails your nostrils as you step into the dim confines of the abandoned temple. The former fane, once gilded with the wealth of its worshippers, is now filled with hovels and sleeping spaces formed by crudely erected walls of scavenged lumber and tattered blankets. Overhead you see a large balcony covering the frontmost section of the temple. A number of ramshackle walkways and platforms hang from the support pillars, forming a meandering and dangerous second floor to the whole tenement. And it's absolutely packed. There are people just sort of huddled over little fires and, sleeping in little corners that have been just blocked off with a few blankets and bits of wood, and it's just pretty grotty. And it's hardly, there's not too much left of the fact that it used to be, a beautiful temple. Well, everyone, who's got the worst luck? That would be
That'd probably
Will.
be me. No.
Yes.
You can rely on me to have the lowest score in anything.
Oh,
18.
18.
Am I using all the good rolls for the things I need to roll under?
Oh, no. Oh, dear. Okay, so you're starting to walk into this
I said at
maze.
the start of this game that I was Mr. Average and it was going to have a really negative effect on the game.
I think it's having a really positive effect on the game.
Okay, you're starting to walk through this maze of ramshackle areas, and just as you turn around this corner, this guy staggers around the corner and goes, and like spits blood out of your face. Coughs a spray of bloody spittle into your face. Will, can you make a DC 10 Fortitude save, please?
Oh, Christ,
No. 8.
No, actually, it was a 20. I
No,
rolled a
this is
20.
It was a 20.
Well.
Yep, I rolled
What?
a 20. I clicked it twice by accident. We're taking the second roll.
Thousands would not believe you, but I'll give it to you. What do you mean you clicked it twice?
I did. I clicked it twice really quickly because I didn't think it had rolled, so I just clicked it again.
Okay, all right.
Technological delay.
Quantum delay, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you turn around to the other guys and go, "Did you get it in my mouth? It's really in my mouth." But no, you appear to be
What?
lucky. It's just sprayed over your face. It doesn't seem to have gone in your mouth.
Christ, the last thing I need now is a bloody pandemic.
So the guy staggers past you, just coughing and coughing blood over everything.
Is it my social duty to cut his head off?
I was about to say, really.
Well,
anyway,
let's
We don't want to draw too much attention to us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he might
exactly.
have family and children.
Well, he's just contaminated them.
Society.
As Will is wiping the blood off his face and you're standing there discussing this, around the corner walk several people, and also not only do they walk around the corner, but one of them descends on a rope from one of the the upper walkways, and another fellow walks along one of the walkways looking down on you, and basically you're confronted by a group of 4 people. There's one guy at the front who looks a bit tougher than the rest, who looks like a bit of a leader. There's a couple of just general-looking thugs, and the guy up on the walkway appears to be dressed in some very, very grotty, wine-stained wizard's robes, clutching the bottle in one hand. And the main guy comes up to you and says, "Well, hello, what we got here?"
And we just look at him. It's like, seriously?
So, what are you doing wandering around our place? This is Spider King territory. And, of course, if you're going to come in here and just walk about the place, you'll have to pay a little toll, won't you?
No,
Might
we
this
won't.
toll be?
Oh, I think we'll keep it simple, shall we? 1 gold rilk apiece. Pay it up
Got to be
now,
fucking kidding.
or you'll find yourself in trouble.
Hey, before he even finishes speaking, sort out, instant surprise, cut his head off.
Axe,
Right,
Andrew,
okay.
it's an axe.
Negotiation then. Everybody please roll initiative.
Oh, Jesus.
Very short space of negotiation there.
7.
13.
Mine's modified. Oh,
15.
nice one, Chris. My initiative roll is modified by +1, so it's actually 8.
And we have... Ooh. Well, I'll give you a surprise, Andrew, because, you're in the middle of a conversation. You just... Right,
That was
well,
probably
Andrew, you get the-
surprise, wasn't it?
You
Yeah,
get the
he was
benefit
just
of
saying that.
surprise, absolutely, because you were in the middle of,
yeah. Negotiating.
some detailed negotiations when you just decided to whack him on the head with the battle axe. So
Yeah.
I will give you a free
You didn't
shot.
even
Go
give
for
me a
it.
chance to get into a backstab position or anything. This is how we all end up getting killed.
I don't know about you, but I'm not
This-
surprised.
So my deed dice is 3.
Yes.
7, 10.
With 11, no, you don't. He seems to be quite quick, actually. He was expecting some kind of shenanigans, so he jumped backwards, and your battle axe just swooshes through the air in front of him and slams into the stone flags. So he
who's next?
jumps backwards and then immediately just stabs forward with his sword, which he was holding loosely in one hand, and he rolls. Your armor
This is
class
really going to
is
clear the joint out.
13. He gets a 10, so he misses. The sorcerer the wizard up on the balcony is next. And he goes, "You bastards, you should really do what he said. Now I'm going to have to fuck you up." And he points down at Andrew and goes, and this bizarre black sort of spray comes spraying out of his fingers towards you, and you see with horror as it gets closer to you is that it's thousands and thousands of tiny little black spiders going.
Oh. That's really
So,
not good.
Let's see if they hit you. Oh no, he rolls a 2. Unfortunately, he goes, and he misses you completely. He goes, "Oh fuck! Would you keep still, please? I'm trying to spray you with some spiders."
Yeah. And both of you have to stay still.
Yeah, it's all right. I hit the guy on the left. I didn't get the guy on the right, but I definitely sprayed the guy on the left. Chris,
Enlarge him. Is he? How far above us is he?
about the walkway is probably about 8 feet from the ground. There you go, TBD. Got a whole lot of choice. Unfortunately, we can't hear him because he's muted his microphone.
Oh, god damn it! Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
I was trying not to crunch in your ears with my cheesels. All right. So
It's very
I'm going to
considerate.
cast a force manipulation spell and see what I can, what options are available to me. So it is 6.
6.
Christ.
That is lost failure. I'm sorry.
So I hack at the guy who's hacking at me, and that's D20
There is a certain
plus
amount of shuffling.
1.
Nobody's screaming, you notice. There's no running screaming, but there is kind of this determined shuffling happening away from the general area of the combat. 12. Oh no, you miss again. What's going on?
That sucks.
Andrew, if you're going to start the fight, you've got to hit. Because none of
Got to
us
follow
can.
through.
We're all crap.
Oh dear. Okay, Ivlis, what do you do?
How hard would it be for me to climb up onto the gantry that the wizard's on? If it's only 8 feet up, I should be able to scramble up onto that, surely.
Well, you can cast about you and see if you can find some way of getting up. There's various large pillars throughout the temple, like a double row of pillars, and around some of these pillars there's been built sort of, spiral staircases of wooden slats and things like that go up to the next level. So you can rush along and find the nearest one of those and start running up if you want to.
Yep, so I'll
It'll
use
take
my
your whole
move
turn
to
to get
do
up
that.
there. No, it'll take
That'll
your whole
my move
your whole
and my
turn to
action,
get up.
will it? All right,
Yep.
I'll do that.
Okay, the two gang members rush forward, and the first one goes for Chris. No, he gets a 7 and misses.
Oh, he's as
And
clumsy as we are.
Yep, and the other one goes for Andrew. 16. That'll be a hit, won't it?
Imagine so.
And that does D6 damage. You are hit, my friend. 6.
Oof.
Ouch.
Down to 7. Ouch. That's nasty.
Ouch. Oh, hit by a thug. He just does it, and he just has this, his face lights up in this toothless grin as he realizes that he's connected, even with his unprofessional slash.
He's going to regret that in a couple of seconds, I'm thinking.
Hope so.
Okay, so the main guy is still attacking you, Andrew. He's got a sword. He says, "You're going to regret coming in here and attacking Gravak. I'm the boss of the Spider Kings, and I'm going to take you out." He slashes at you with a short sword. With a 14. That's a hit too.
What's your armor class?
That does 4 points of damage.
Oh, God.
Yes. So the wizard goes, I'll get you this time.
Picking up his spell book. I know I've got it in here somewhere.
Just a second. Just hold on. Just give me just a second. He rolls a 8, 10, and it goes, and there's this sort of, oh, fuck.
Excellent.
Takes his bow and takes another swig. Right, Chris.
Chilling touch. Now it says the trouble is it says on the next round. Right, caster sends a charge with negative energy on the next round.
Then enlarge
Takes
him.
additional 1d6. Oh, enlarge
Next
him.
round.
Doesn't do me any good.
Well, that'll freak him out.
So, okay, I'm going to roll the chill touch. 1d20 plus 2 would be 16 plus 2 is 18.
That's
Caster
good.
sends a
So-
charge with negative energy. For the next turn, the caster receives a +2 to attack rolls, and every creature the caster attacks takes an additional 1d6.
Okay, let's get this one right for a change.
I think in future we just really do need to do a little bit more preparation before we go into places.
Are you saying
We're
this
not
as a
showing
fight?
Yes,
Hang
I'm
on.
calling it down over the balcony.
In future,
Boys,
can we
I
just
think
do a bit more preparation?
If you don't mind.
We won't end up in shit situations like this
15.
every Sunday
You realise-
afternoon.
That is a hit.
Yay, about fun time.
What was your deed die? Now remember, you can use your deed die
3.
to do deeds.
3,
No,
yeah,
remember
but at the
something
moment,
else.
yeah.
But, yeah.
14 points of damage.
You just roll 10.
I just rolled a 10.
14. Oh. So, making up for lost time, Buffy gets very angry and gets his battle axe, and it just goes, fuck! And it just goes chunk into his skull, and his head just goes, plop, and just parts open like a split apple. And he just crumbles to the floor under the blow, and brains go flowing out onto the cobbles.
And I go very loudly, the spiders have a new leader. Drop your weapons.
Oh, nice touch.
Okay, we will make a morale check. Here we go. Hold on.
I'm standing there with my negative energy.
Yeah, blue
It's
light
all
crackling
charged
in your
up,
hands.
Blue
It's all
hands,
charged
hands
up,
are
ready to
charged. Ready to go. Let me touch this guy.
Let me touch him.
Oh, please let me touch. I want to touch this guy. Please let me touch him.
What's your voltage setting exactly?
Okay, we'll
It ain't stun. I'll tell you that much.
16. 16.
Okay, the wizard up on the walkway says, "I'm going to fuck you up." And
Oh.
two gang members. Oh, they just go, "You fucking killed Gravak!" And they come charging towards you with swords. No, they're pissed off. And Will, what do you do? So you reach the Sozzled Sorcerer.
Yep,
What do you do?
I'm charging up to the Sozzled Sorcerer and just... I think the main thing is I want to get him out of action, so I'm just going to
Yeah.
charge
grapple.
into him and knock him over.
He could
try
possibly
and
tell us
grapple.
something.
Yeah, that's... Well,
Yeah.
shit, when he was sober. So
Okay,
yeah, I'll just
opposed
charge
attack
up and
rolls.
just fly into him.
Yep, that'll be opposed attack rolls, adding the higher of your agility or strength modifier. So you'd be adding your agility modifier, which is +1.
11 plus 1 is 12.
Okay, and he rolls a
Surely he gets a
19.
negative because he's pissed. Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, sorry. He goes, "Oh, fuck off!" And through, you know how it is when sometimes you're really pissed, but you play a fantastic game of pool. Well, this is this guy. He's really pissed, but for some reason he just manages to sidestep your lunge perfectly, and you just go flying. And can you make a agility test, please? And I'll
Oh,
give
for
you...
Christ's sake, there's negative consequences as well? 10. Yeah, I made it.
Yeah, no, you managed to grab a handrail before you go flying over the edge of the walkway. Okay, so the gang members have come charging forward. One of them goes for Chris. That's a 3, so that's a 4. He misses, slashes and misses. The other one goes for Andrew and gets a 14 plus 1 is 15. Be a hit. 3 points of damage. Down to naught. So Andrew falls to the floor, bleeding, and the guy goes, "Ha ha ha! That'll teach you to fuck with the Spider Kings." The sorcerer turns to you, Will, and "I'm going to show you why we're called the Spider Kings." And he goes, and this blast of spiders comes out again. Oh, fuck, and hits. And that does. And there's little spiders running all over your body. Ah! And they're nipping. And you can feel all these bites running over your face. And you're desperately trying to get them off you. Horrible. 1 point of damage.
Well, I'm in full attack mode now.
Pull
I'm
something
drawing
out of
my,
your hat, mate, whatever you do.
I'm drawing my longsword and going for the guy who's attacking me. I have to go for him.
Right.
So
Don't
I am
miss.
because of my chill touch.
miss.
Oh, 19
Hey.
plus 1, 20.
Oh, 19.
That's a 20.
20.
So, you whip out your sword and just slash him across the face, and as it hits, your hands just discharge this energy, and it just blows him backwards like he's been ripped off his feet like with a giant hand, and he's thrown backwards, and he goes smashing into one of these jerry-built rooms, which all comes crashing down all over him. How much damage do you do? 8. Okay, and there's just the smell of burning, crisping flesh coming up, and as you watch, one of the blankets goes on fire and starts going, and this little fire starts.
I thought it was a chill touch.
Was it a chill touch?
Chill
It's a
touch.
chill touch. Everything
Oh,
freezes.
sorry. Okay. Right, there's
Cold
no fire,
magic.
forget
Starts
that.
disintegrating.
Forget that.
No, it's the
okay.
chill touch. It's a necromancy spell. It delivers the chill touch of the dead.
Oh, okay.
Ugh, that's a
Starts
nasty,
withering.
nasty spell.
So I just got the negative energy bit, and so I just assumed
That's a
it was
nasty spell.
It was fire energy.
And so this
okay,
is when
so
you say, and this is why they call us the freeze burners.
the what? So let me change that description. In fact, you hit him with the sword, and this dark energy goes rushing along the sword, hits him in his face, and this black, crisp dryness just starts spreading all over his face and down his body, and he falls to the ground dead, and his limbs just go crack, crack, and he just falls to pieces.
God.
One down. Excellent.
Is there any morale effect of that on the other one?
Absolutely, there certainly is. Here we
That's
go.
going to freak you out. I almost to go like that.
Oh dear. Okay, the wizard who's up near you, Will, goes, "Oh fuck! He's
A real wizard.
He's a better sorcerer than I am," and he starts running down one of the walkways, trying to get as
You get
far
a
away
free
as
hit.
possible, heading for the other side of heading for the far side of the temple. The guy who was in combat with Andrew turns around and sprints into the maze of alleyways.
Gold, whip the blackjack out and try and knock him on the back of the head. 8. Oh, for Christ's sake.
No, you miss.
All right, so we're back to square one now. We've got to drag Andrew out and spend God knows how long healing him.
No, just line me up and then leave me
Prop him
to
up
sit here
somewhere.
while you have a look around. Boys, while I'm lying there or propped up against the wall, search the bodies.
What? You only killed one of them, didn't we? We killed 2 of them. We'll search the bodies.
Two.
We'll be fine.
You killed the
bodies.
leader and one of the gang members, yeah. 9 Smurdooks and 3 gold rilks.
Stop me from dying.
Yep, let's do
And
that.
then, what can I do with my luck? I burnt.
Well, you can spend 1 luck to regain a single hit point and become conscious.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, well, I do that.
Now, if you can recuperate for D3 turns and spend a point of luck, you can get hit points back to a roll of your class die plus stamina plus level.
We'll just sit there for 10 minutes glaring at people while he recovers.
Yeah, you notice everybody's giving you a wide berth. And you also notice that walking around some of the walkways and around the corners, what are obviously other
Nice
gang
roll.
members.
Woohoo!
Oh,
13.
11, nice.
Okay, while he's recuperating, I'm going to cut the head off.
Hold on.
What's
You can see other gang members and things walking around, but they're definitely giving you a wide berth.
Right, so while they're giving us a wide berth and he's recovering, I'm going to cut the head off the former leader.
What, with your dagger? You just saw it off with
Yep.
your dagger.
I'll
Don't use one of the short swords.
I'll use one of his short swords. I'll just chop it off.
Poetic.
All right. Takes a few blows, though.
Yep, that's fine. Okay. Then I'll go to one of these nearby bits of hooch that are lying around with their blankets and stuff, and somebody must be holding something up with a long pole.
Yeah.
I'll just grab the nearest long pole,
Okay.
stick the head
Some
on the pole.
Some poor person's sleeping corner just falls
Yep,
apart.
I'll just wrench that off, stick the head on the
Yeah.
pole.
Oh, gosh. Oof. Yeah. Then what?
And I'll just stand there with the head on the pole. And
Okay, blood is
that'll take
pouring
its time.
down the pole and all over your hand.
There's not that much blood in a head, mate. Surely that would have all come out by now. All right, I'll let the head drain before I stick it on the pole. But then when Andrew gets up to his feet,
Yep.
we're all standing there. I'll call out. I'll say, "Attention, all of you scumbags! There is a new king in this building. As of this moment, you all owe your allegiance to me." And I'll hold the pole up with the head on it.
All right, you hear this sort of...
You didn't fucking kill him.
All right, okay. I'll give you the pole.
To
You do
us. No, you do
bit
it.
late. Right, so there's a definite sort of wave goes through the building as people hear this, and there's no shouting out, there's no anything, but there's definitely a sort of whisper and a rumble of people just sort of going, and you see people
Change in mood.
pretty much retreating into their little cubby holes and cubicles and blankets being drawn across and pieces of wood being propped up to close off little corners, and it seems suddenly remarkably very quiet and free of people, even though you know they're all there.
Better the devil
Now that
knows.
we're here to do what we're supposed to do we have a quick look round and have a look and see if we can see moons, crescents, whatever the fuck we're looking for?
Well, you can see. In fact, Will can see from his vantage point up on the walkway, the back of the main hall, the soaring spire that protruded from the roof of the building rests atop a thick base within the temple. So it's a structure located near the far end of the temple tenement, and it seems to be decorated with a number of bas-relief carvings.
By any chance?
Let's
I'll,
have a look.
Go and have a close look, and I'll roll really badly and not find anything. Okay, so we'll go and inspect the plinth and the carvings, and I'll go around very carefully, observing and looking for traps, secret doors, locks, et al.
Okay, well, a massive pillar stands near the far end of the former temple, rising from floor to soaring ceiling, measuring roughly 60 feet square. The stone support is defaced by grime, soot, and inscribes graffiti left by generations of slum dwellers. Faintly visible beneath the obscuring dirt are bas-reliefs located 10 feet up the pillar. And as you study these, you realise, walking around this 60-foot square plinth, that there are 4 bas-reliefs on the pillar. They are going clockwise from the east, which is the direction you're coming from, in the direction that the front doors face. So in front of you, there's a goblet, and then around the corner there is a length of chain links, then a horned crescent moon, and then a skull wearing a domino-style mask.
Okay, let's touch the.
Let's go around the
face.
skull side.
Okay, you go to the skull side. So, who's searching?
Let's look at it. Who's got the best intelligence? Oh, that would be Chris.
That might be me.
Okay, intelligence. Oh God, give me another beer. Intelligence
Intelligence.
check.
You still
Haven't
have
any
you still have
food.
the magic users.
I'm still a magic. Hold on, just have another.
Okay, so it's
Right,
1d20 plus 1 for my intelligence mod.
Intelligence check.
And it would be a 17 plus 1, 18.
18. Fantastic. Okay. You checking this carving in this whole area of door, and you find 2 pieces of stone that seem a bit loose, and when you press them simultaneously, the wall grinds open and a cloud of dust and cobwebs blows into your faces. It opens a few feet, and suddenly there's this incredibly loud sound of snapping metal and a what sounds like a counterweight collapsing inside there. And the door locks in an open position.
Look what I found.
And you're going to tell us you're going to call it now, aren't you?
I was just about to say that, of course. How'd you pick that? Nicely done. Yes.
It's the obvious place to do it.
Darkness and a smell of stale air and dust comes out of the opening. And we will find out what's within next time.
Next time.